What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see from the title of the video, returning to Loathe. I haven't done Loathe in months. The only Loathe reaction I have on this channel and the only music I've heard from Loathe is the entirety of their I Let It In and It Took Everything album, which is a video that has just continuously garnered views since I uploaded it. I looked back in it there like yesterday and it has 35,000 views, which is kind of crazy considering it's like a full length album reaction over an hour long. One of the videos that took me, I think, like a few days to edit because I put so much effort into the actual edit with like some stupid edits and that kind of thing. So it is going to be fun to return to Loathe. People have been asking me to check this video out and I've no idea what it is. Audiotree, I think, is just like a really high value or high production value channel that has bands on, because I can see Being as an Ocean. Like, I think there's just bands that come in and do like live playthroughs and talk through. I've never seen one of them as far as I'm aware. But we have a 4K video and it looks like we have like an interview at the start with the band. So yeah, anything with the Liverpool accent is going to be fun to listen to. And obviously we're going to get some music as well. I've no idea which tracks are featured on this. It's 22 minutes long. So without any further ado, guys, I'm going to jump in. Leave a like in this video if you haven't already, be much appreciated. Make sure you're subbed to the channel. We have The Cold Sun by Loathe on the Patreon polls. They have been like in and out getting a few votes, but it's been there for a few months now. So if you do want to see that album get reacted to, then head over to Patreon and get involved in the core polls, because, you know, Lowe's The Cold Sun is on there and it's just not getting the love maybe it deserves, maybe it doesn't deserve. I don't really know. But guys, let's jump in.
I would say only write for yourself and never consider what people might think of it. And if you write for yourself and you really feel it, no matter what, it will resonate with at least some people. Yeah.
Are Loathe the most stylish band on the scene? Let's pause real quick. I know I'm pausing very early. Are Loathe the most stylish, tasteful band on the scene when it comes to their appearance? I'm thinking the bands that come to my mind off rip are Loathe and maybe Thornhill. I think they are very tasteful in the way they dress. They have like a theme that they follow. So Loathe just have that like grungy, they just know what they're doing. It looks like they all have stylists, but I feel like they don't have stylists, but they also all kind of like dress in a similar style. So I don't know if it's like a part of the band where you have to dress like this or like, I don't know, but that's always been something they've been very, very, you know, for some reason it actually adds to their music when they're all dressed really well.
Something with it. It's just,
it shouldn't, but it does. Appearance is huge. So I'm guessing we're just gonna get a lot of tracks from I Let It In. If not, we're going to be reacting to some new music as well.
It's just like, this isn't it anymore.
I think just as we got older, we just matured with our music taste. We didn't want to like completely abandon the name of Loathe. We just kind of saw it as a natural progression and just accepted it as us. Yeah, if that makes sense.
I think to all of us, Loathe isn't a style of music, it's us.
Yeah.
Us as people. So like whenever we make music together, whatever that music is, it will be Loathe. It just became more and more apparent as we were writing music that like it was very different to where we came from. But it just felt right for all of us.
If I get an ad in this, I'm going to... Yeah, it's gonna happen. I just remembered I still haven't got an ad blocker. I always thought that was Kadeem that sang that part. Seeing the yeah, I didn't know that the lyrics were, or the vocals were shared amongst members. I thought it was all Kadeem, not gonna lie. maybe it's just for this, but no, now that I think of it, yeah, that sounds very akin to the tone. On create. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm looking at the guitars as well, and I believe that is a baritone. And funny story from my own experience, when I listened to I let it in and took everything for the first time, I went and tried to, because I was so inspired to play the guitar after hearing that album, that I went and tried to play some of their tracks and tried to tune my regular 6-string, which is on the wall behind me, not knowing of the existence of baritone guitars. Again, I'm relatively new to the guitar space, especially from a hardware standpoint, like having my own guitars and that kind of thing. So I just started like tuning away, and their tuning was real wacky. So I was like, and I just didn't understand the capabilities of the strings on my regular 6-string guitar, and realized that baritones are definitely, you know, built different in the sense that the tunings can go a lot lower, and I snapped the fuck out of all my strings because of Loathe. So Loathe, if you're watching this, just yeah, I'll invoice you guys for some new strings. Appreciate it. Francis might be the coolest vocalist in metal, let's be honest there. What a track, man. It's funny how like far removed this sound is from some of their heavier tracks like Gourd, New Faces in the Dark. They just have such a versatile sound. Like, so many tracks for so many different moods, and I've only heard one album, so I don't even know what the Cold Sun is like, and whether or not we're going to get any Cold Sun tracks on this. So I believe they're going to go into like a chat about creativity after this. That's what it says in the little YouTube thing. Through the stars and the clouds, with birds in the air, transport dreams will rise. I love how these live playthroughs really like shine a light on the different instruments that are actually involved. Oh, I see the pitch shifter there as well. We're gonna get the weird but like the bass feels so prominent in this mix. Something I never really focused too much on when I was listening to the fully produced version of the album, you know? And now when you see the bass being played, you can just hear it so much clearer, you know? Completely forgot to say that I'm going to see Loathe with Spirit Box in Dublin, which I can't fucking wait for. That's going to be insane. Brandon Sacrifice, Loathe, and Spirit Box. So I actually completely forgot about that. I can't wait. I was going to say I would hope to see these guys live someday, but then I was like, I'm going to see them live.
Sean wrote that song. That's Sean's, one of Sean's songs. But I remember we were like, I think it was me and Eric, we were in the car somewhere, like on our way somewhere. And Sean had just like sent the link for it into the chat. So we put it on and we were listening. And at this time we were like 99% done with I Let It In. Like we were like, we know what songs we want to be on the album. And we all listened to Screaming in the car and we were like, oh my God, like this needs to be on the album.
That's actually sick.
At the time, it was a lot of Queens of the Stone Age, just because I feel like a lot of their music is just like 2-note chords and sort of playing around with that. For me, the way I typically write is I'll just play guitar, like an acoustic guitar. I won't like plug it in or anything. And I'll just play it and play it and play it. And then if I have an idea, I'll just play it for weeks and months and sort of map the song out in my head before I ever take it to a computer. Imagine the drums.
That's crazy.
Where the chorus is, where the verse is, where the bridge is and whatever. It doesn't even have to be an acoustic. It could be like an electric guitar, but just played acoustically. Because you don't have like the tone or anything to sort of bolster it or make it sound any stronger than it actually is musically. Once you actually start producing it and figuring out what the sonic quality of it is, then it just makes it sound more impactful.
So he's the drummer, but he was also playing the acoustic to try and write the
Gets
song.
involved with everything. I think that's why everything's so eclectic and why a record can have so many very different sounds.
Yeah.
I usually end up just starting with synths and pianos, really, whenever I'm starting with stuff. I'm not like into production or mixing, same as these guys. So I'm kind of like, in a way, trying to learn off them in a way, because I feel like that greatly kind of affects where other people will kind of see an idea going, is how you kind of present it.
Is he Scouse? He doesn't sound as
There's not one
Scouse as the rest of the guys.
right, like there's not one person who writes all the lyrics. We kind of all just chime in together. It's kind of like
The same with the music.
yeah.
Like I feel like we're really, if you want to like define a band to like, I feel like we're really a band. Like everything that we do is put through each of us, and we have to approve it all.
That's pretty sick, because you always get the impression with certain bands that you almost like, it's kind of, they don't say it, but you can almost tell from like, say for example, a video like this, you can almost like tell that a lot of the onus is on like one particular member, where it's like almost like the other members, maybe unintentionally or just by the fact that they're not as talented as one particular person in the group, but you can almost tell that like one person is like responsible for a lot of the ideas, or even just like the actual you know, maybe someone like is doing the production but is also playing like the drums, but also like does like other shit as well. You can like sometimes get that, but with this so far, I mean, even by the way they're kind of like reacting to how they're saying, they're all kind of chiming in and saying, yeah, well, like he does this, so it's pretty cool to see. And you can hear it again because it just sounds so fucking, like they use the word eclectic here, and it's quite literally the perfect word for Loathe sound.
A lot of stuff that I write that I'm like, no one in the band's gonna like this, but I'll just do it anyway. That kind of, it almost like dragged us towards the softer side, because like we were always really heavy, but everything I wrote was really soft.
And I think then when we started like getting into those things, then other people would then start writing things in that vein, and it just kind of rolled from there.
We've been working on music lately, and it's been a lot smoother because we've all grown up together and sort of learned how to not invest absolutely every ounce of ourselves into one note, which we used to be like, but now we just sort of see the bigger picture and how it doesn't really matter as much.
That stuff's attractive to us now as well. Yeah, I think it's again, it just sounds like a band. It sounds like people playing, as opposed to we used to like really edit guitars and everything like that, you know, because it's also part of the style. But I think where we're heading is it's just correct for what we want. Chords.
It's just more raw.
Yeah, just I mean, if your finger slips and it sounds cool, it's like keep that in.
All right, so we're gonna get heavier now, and that was interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Loathe have to come next, because how do you even like up the bar from an album like I Let It In? But we'll see. But yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks. Kadeem, I seen the little spin there as well. Follow directions true. Remembers in that video where I thought he was actually speaking to me. Follow directions true. It's interesting to see which parts Kadeem's doing. Oh, this is... yeah. This made it into my top 50 tracks of last year. Tracks that I heard last year, of course. I always have to say that because people will be like, this didn't come out last year, dude. Come on. Yeah, that track is wild. What are they talking about here?
The writer's block would definitely still
writer's block.
Growing and learning with that.
Yeah.
Something that we deal with quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because we have such high expectations on each
I love how Kadeem got into that performance as well.
Everyone's opinion so much.
Can't wait to see them live, man.
That like at times it can almost feel like I am writing for someone else because I get into my own head. But then I'm just kind of getting over that hurdle again of like writing for myself and like just pushing on through and not like let my head get clouded with what I might think other opinions would be.
Yeah, we can definitely get into our heads about things.
Yeah, very much so.
I guess because of the expectation that we have from, I mean, specifically with I Let It In, and it took everything, like having to follow something that like people received so well.
Yeah, that's literally the point that I made. It's like I'm very obviously very excited because I'm a fan of these guys. I'm excited to hear what they have to come next, and I'm also excited to go back into the discography and check out what's the album called? The Cold Sun. But from what they're saying, their older music was definitely a lot heavier. But it's going to be interesting just on how they're speaking to like see where their sound goes, because again, it's like I'm sure they're capable of doing it, but I can only imagine the pressure of, you know, they're coming back from touring with, I think it was Loathe and Periphery. So like these are big, you know, they're on the big stage now, and with an album behind them like I Let It In, it's so creative, it's so groundbreaking to a certain extent, you know, very visionary. So it's going to be interesting to like just see where they take it. Again, it's gonna always be, they're at that like point where, you know, when we create something so good, you're naturally going to get people who don't like the next piece of work because of how good I Let It In is and how unique it is. So, you know, if they do something as creative but in the same ballpark as I Let It In, people are going to be like, oh well, it's nothing groundbreaking anymore, you know. So yeah, interested to see.
You just try and reel it back and think like we did that ourselves, no external, like we can do that again, if not better. And just remembering that and
Just remembering who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And where you came from and not letting that slip.
Yeah, we're trying to, hopefully gonna finish the album on this tour.
We've never been in the scenario where we could comfortably live and wake up and shower and feel good about things, and also have a studio set up on the road, because we've always toured in bands, which are quite restricted, and we're living with each other, and we're sat like this for like 9 hours. But this time, thankfully, we have a bandwagon which has a little table that we have a set up on, and where we're going to be, trying our best. I think as well the shows and the reaction from the shows really kind of solidifies like you're doing the right thing, and it helps a lot.
It's crazy like how well like what we're trying to go for translates with our fans. Like they're so onto it. Like even like something as like I'll be at Merch and someone will be like, oh, like you guys must like Twin Peaks, and I'm like, Eric is literally obsessed with Twin Peaks. Like a lot of our influences shine so.
Was that Kadeem's attempt at doing an American accent?
And it translates so well to the fans. Like they're so onto it. Like even like something as like I'll be at Merch and someone will be like, oh, like you guys must like Twin Peaks, and I'm like,
oh, you guys must like Twin Peaks. Yeah, you can tell these guys have been touring. I'm pretty sure it was the American tour that they're doing with Periphery and Under Oath. And yeah, it's funny because like a band that you can't, I don't know if they hide the accent very well. There's certain parts where you can kind of hear the like really strong Scouse accent coming in from Kadeem, but it is interesting to see that like they've been getting such a good response across the pond. Now, obviously, talent wise, that doesn't surprise me at all. But just from like a cultural / accent standpoint, it's like crazy to see how much they've blown up with that album abroad. Because obviously the Scouse accent isn't the most accessible. It sounds fucking unbelievable. Like even the way he's talking there is class, but it just seems like crazy to think that they can go on tours with bands like Under Oath and Periphery and get such a pop. But again, that is obviously purely down to the ability that they have musically. So
Eric is literally obsessed with Twin Peaks. Like a lot of our influences shine so clearly through our music, and it translates so well to the fans. So yeah, it's really cool. It's very validating.
We'd finished like the first draft of the record, and we went to see our friends in Issues, and we went to, what tour was it? It was Issues.
It was Issues, Don Broco, and
Neck Deep, wasn't it?
Neck Deep, that's correct.
Is Issues that band? I think people have been asking me to check that one out recently. It's have they got an album called Headspace or something? Let me just quickly pull up a new tab. Issues, Headspace. Yeah, I think this is on the Patreon core poll at the moment. Issues, Headspace. Headspace is the second full-length studio album by American metalcore band Issues. Yeah, so they are actually on the latest Patreon polls. They've only got recently added in, so it's funny that they're bringing them up now.
We went on the bus and we were like, check this out. And they were like, yeah, it's good. Because you need more songs.
You were like, you can tell it's not finished.
And we were like,
and we were
it
like,
is.
By this point, we're like a year late handing it in as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we end up going back to Eric's.
I was fuming. Like I was angry. I was so annoyed about it because it was like I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad they were honest with us and stuff. It's like it's not. I'm not saying that they were wrong in what they were saying because they were correct. Because then we wrote God out of frustration.
I thought that was this album. As they were talking about this album, I was like, wow, like this isn't a very good sales pitch for this album, is it? The next album to be like, oh yeah, we got some opinions on it and they said it didn't sound finished, so we kind of went back and now we're kind of working on it. I was like, oh god. So this is actually for I Let It In, and Issues were the guys that critiqued it, I guess, and then they went back and wrote Gourd, is what you're saying.
Into it, it's not there yet. Yeah, it proper just hit us, and yeah, we went back. I have like a shed in my back garden with like a little studio set up in there, and just stayed up all night. I think it was once through, and the song was done.
Yeah.
Well, you were like, I want to call a song God, and then you just went and created what a song called God would sound like.
Yeah.
Which is
like being gored by a bull.
Okay, so we're gonna get Gourd now. Let's go. Getting gored by a bull. Yeah. Not a feeling I can say I've experienced, but I can imagine. You can just hear that bass tone so much clearer now when I know he's like there, present in the room, if that makes sense. That raw tone always makes the bass feel so much more prominent. When it's produced in a studio, it can lose the bass tone some more. You can just hear it like shaking the room. This artillery strike sound coming in. That track is so fucking heavy.
I think the way I would break it down is it's not that I caused the band to write soft music. I think it's I just wrote soft music and
Limitation.
people in the band liked it, and we realized that like we can do anything we want. We don't have to just be heavy. That I think that's what it was. It was breaking through that like sort of pressure of like, oh, we need to stay in one lane and sort of, you know, grow in that way. We always wanted to grow that way, like sort of in both directions at once, as soft as we could be and as heavy as we could be.
And there was always just kind of a bit of like, we're here once, like you might as well. There's why limit yourself in anywhere? If you want to do this, let's just do it.
Because then you're just starting from the ground up. If you're like, oh, there's this style, so it's going to have to be under a different name. Then you get other people involved to kind of grow it, and then it's just, it ends up, you're putting
eggs in a
people normally they don't put your eggs in one basket, but that's exactly what we're trying to do.
And to be honest, I think as well, like we appreciate each other so much and we validate each other's like skills and everything that we do. That like that is a big, at least for me, that's a big thing as well. Like family is important, but when we, you know, we really appreciate each other and what we do for each other and how like doing this together, it's like it wouldn't be Loathe without each individual person.
Interesting. I'm interested to see Loathe perform live with Brand of Sacrifice and Spirit Box. I think it's the start of summer or midsummer. And yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially because the venue that they're actually playing in is going to be interesting to say the least, because Meshuggah played there, I think it's the Olympia Theatre in Dublin. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure it's the only venue that would really be capable of holding the likes of Spirit Box, you know, that kind of a tour. It's, you know, probably the right cap. I think it's like 2,000-ish people. And the interesting thing about it is Meshuggah played there, and the way the floor section is laid out is very like it didn't really lend itself for the style of crowd that comes to a Meshuggah show, because like the actual floor section is quite small, but it's like split with barriers, so there's very little like actual floor room to get anything kind of going. And the security at the Meshuggah event was very like strict and probably didn't understand the audience to a certain extent, where like, you know, metal shows, people are naturally going to want to get involved in like mosh pits and that kind of thing. Not really for me, but it's probably something to consider going to see them. Now I'm sure Loathe are going to put on a show regardless, but a lot of their shows involve, from what I've seen anyway, like people bum rushing the stage and jumping from the stage into the crowd, which is just simply not going to happen in Dublin. Like it's just like, from what I've seen from the venue, unless the venue have completely changed their whole outlook on how they, you know, monitor metal shows, it's just not going to happen. Which is going to be unique, because they'll have to play into the, you know, because that can help bands a lot as well, because almost like the energy in the room is already built because people are just going wild no matter what you play. So it'll be interesting to see what they're like. And almost I'd nearly prefer that, because the venue's so small that I think if it was that was to happen, it would just be utter chaos and you wouldn't probably be able to enjoy it. Because me personally, I don't really like to get too involved in all that chaos that goes on. It's fun to kind of watch unfold, especially on videos. It's great to see, but like to actually be there and really want to appreciate the music. Again, obviously you get involved in like kind of, you know, grooving around to the music, but I'm not the biggest fan of like getting thrown into a mosh pit and getting fucking elbowed and, you know, accidentally fucked on the ground. Like all this kind of shit, you know, I get it has a time and a place, but it's just not really me. But it's going to be interesting to see them live regardless, and I cannot wait, guys. So if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like. If anyone has any insight into when we're going to get a Loathe single, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know if you think I'll enjoy the Cold Sun album. And obviously, if you do want to see me check it out, head on over to patreon.com/DrewFortune, where you can get involved in the core poll where Loathe currently feature in it. And, you know, there's 25 albums over there that we pick on a weekly basis. So get involved, and maybe soon enough, we will be checking out that album. So guys, that is going to be me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm signing out. Look after yourselves. See you in the next one. Cheers.